It is Friday, 30th January 2016, and this is Devaraja Mayuran with the news highlights of today's English dailies. The headline of Daily Mirror says government launches mega city project. President says it will convert Sri Lanka from an island to a continent. One of the main objectives of the government's highly ambitious mega city project is to minimize the huge gap in income, education, health, living standards and social status of Sri Lankans, and to create an opportunity for future generations to live as equal partners of the country's multifaceted development, President Maithripala Sirisena said yesterday. And the highlight says amendment to the Buddhist Temporalities Act limits the number of terms of the Athavan Nilame. The Buddhist Temporalities Amendment Bill, which seeks to limit the number of terms a person could be appointed to the post of the Athavan Nilame and authorizes the Commissioner General of Buddhist Affairs to remove the DN from the post, was presented to the Parliament yesterday. And the news says Mahinda Rajapaksa at Press-a-Fac. Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa reported to the Press-a-Fac yesterday morning to make a statement over the non-payment of bills submitted by the state-owned ITN. And the news says Peacock Mansion CCD2 check swimming pool. Consequent to the complaint lodged by ASP Leonage, Colombo Crime Department yesterday informed the court that it would carry out a check on the swimming pool at the Peacock Mansion. With that story, it's time to move to the news highlights of today's daily news, whose headline writes, Guinness record attempt ends in accident. Tried to let 10 double cabs drive over his stomach. An attempt by a Sri Lanka Ports Authority employee to set a Guinness World Record by letting 10 double cabs drive over his stomach failed as the third vehicle drove his stomach when he was not ready. Janaka Kanchana Mutanayaka of the Ports Authority laid down on the road, allowing the double cabs to drive over his stomach after performing religious rites in the presence of a large number of invitees, including Port Development Minister Arjuna Ranatunga and Sports Minister Dayasri Jayasakara. And the news says government has nothing to do with Mahabrahma journalists, says Prime Minister. The government has nothing to do with journalists who went hunting with the Mahabrahma during the previous regime, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe said in Parliament yesterday. Prime Minister Wickremesinghe made this observation making a ministerial statement. And the news says Sri Lankans to enjoy fruits of megapolis project, says Prime Minister. The aim of the megapolis project is to allow Sri Lankans enjoy all facilities that people in developed cities such as London, Dubai, Singapore and Tokyo enjoy, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe said. He was participating at the unveiling of Western Region Megapolis Plan at Independence Square yesterday. And the news says allow journalists to do their job, says Mahinda Rajapaksa. Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa regretted statement made by Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe over the conduct of some media organization and journalists. Rajapaksa was of the view that journalists should have the freedom to carry out their duties without any intimidation and fear. Mentioning journalists' name in public is a bad precedent, he said. The former president was responding to queries by journalists when he arrived at the Presidential Commission of Inquiry yesterday. And the news says death of girl, 3 suspects arrested. 3 suspects have been arrested in connection with the death of a 13-year-old Kalimuthu Vijayakumari in the Talgaspitiya area in the Mavatakama Police Division. The girl's body was discovered in an abandoned house in Talagaspitiya, Mavadagama on Thursday night. The victim has been identified as a resident of Morakvatha, Talagaspitiya. Finally, let me have a quick glance on the news highlights of today's Ceylon Today. Missing persons power irked by lack of probe. US Permanent Representative to the United Nations Ambassador Samantha Power stated that lack of proper investigation into missing persons in Sri Lanka and Mexico sends a message to perpetrators that they can continue to disappear people with impunity. And the news says appointment of new AG Dinesh objects, Ranil scoffs. Leader of the Mahajana ex-Paramuna opposition MP Dinesh Gunawardena alleged in Parliament yesterday that the government was attempting to sidestep legal procedure in appointing an Attorney General by unduly influencing the Constitutional Council. Gunawardena told the House that the opposition had been informed by a credible source that the government was planning on appointing a new Attorney General, but that the established legal procedure of selecting an appropriate individual from among Supreme Court judges was not being followed. And the news says PM promises audit bill shortly. Premier Ranil Wickremesinghe said yesterday in Parliament that the audit bill would be tabled in Parliament shortly to give teeth to the audit commission that was appointed under the 19th Amendment to the Constitution. And the news says civil society groups meet President and PM. Mass protest abundant. A delegation from civil society groups which met President and the Prime Minister last week before deciding to take to the streets over the government's failure to fulfill its pledges to the people during its first year in office, says they have decided to shelve their plans temporarily. It is reliably learned that a few powerful ministers had also decided to support the efforts of these civil society groups to take to the streets in protest against the government. Finally, a news says teenager gang raped by family. Father, grandfather, brother-in-law arrested. Maligawatha police last Thursday busted a case of multiple incest when they arrested the father, grandfather and brother-in-law of a 15-year-old girl whom they had been sexually abusing over a period of time. Police sources told Ceylon today that the three suspects were arrested. With that story, I just wind up the news highlights. Join us tomorrow to have a nice day. Goodbye.